Dude, that's crazy.
Hello, my Jordan Nation. How are you guys? I want to start this off by thanking you all. I've had a few of you guys reach out to me, and can I just say that we have built like the nicest, kindest, most curious community. The amount of questions that I've had about like me as a person is incredibly flattering, and it's kind of opened up this doorway of me thinking about trauma dumping on the internet, my place in things. If I want to be this person who kind of speaks generally on these big topics and offers advice like a 40-year-old trapped in a 24-year-old's body, I feel like I owe you guys some context, especially because I have the nerve to come on here and be like, I've lived this really privileged and sheltered life. I don't want to say that that's a lie, but I think for anybody who knows me on a personal level, they know that I've definitely seen some things, and that's why I've had this knowledge, is because, it's definitely come with some experience. I think sometimes I shy away from speaking on the personal, intimate details of these experiences because they've been weird, and the more that you get into those details, the more it can kind of distract people from relating to these lessons that you've learned. I'm really here to try to show people how to rise above the bad things that happen to them, or how to have better coping skills when it comes to the things that happen that make you feel a little out of control in your life. And so I really want to balance. I preach a lot about vulnerability and honesty and talking about the things that make us uncomfortable and shedding light on these different topics that just need a little bit more attention. And I think since I actually even have experience with these things, it's that much more important to me. I want to use this as an opportunity to kind of set some expectations for the channel while also ranting. I mean, is it even a Jordan Nation video if I don't go on an entire monologue about society, people, and but humbug. But yeah, let's get deep. Let's hang out. Grab some water, get a snack. Your girl's dehydrated. What can I say? I have some notes here. I'm really trying to keep this concise and organized for you guys. Trauma dumping on the internet is a very touchy subject. I'm all about being open and sharing experiences, but I fear that a lot of people's intentions are a little skewed. I know something that I personally feed into a lot is toxic positivity. I will dodge all of the negative things and all of the pain and all of the anger in order to dissociate from it and almost step out of my life, get it from the outside to learn this after school special moment about what just happened to me. And while I know that that's unhealthy in its own degree, the victimization on the internet really drives me crazy. Why are you going to allow these things that made you feel so broken and out of control in your life to enable you, to keep you stuck in that time, allow you to become so detached in a different kind of way where you're only connected to that pain? It's the only thing you feel. It's the only reason that you are the way that you are. It's your personality. To become those negative experiences is just so sad. It just goes to show the power that trauma has in our lives. I think another reason why it's kind of hard to talk about on the internet is you have to be very delicate with it because it's hardly ever an independent thing. I know for me personally, even though I've experienced pain, a lot of the pain that I've experienced has come from the people I love and the people that I hold nearest and dearest to my heart. And so, of course, I want to protect not only myself, but those people. I think since we have this big platform to speak on, we can sometimes get so overwhelmed by emotion and by that need for validation that we immediately run to the world. And it's intimidating because for me personally, I like to wait until I'm kind of healed and have had that moment of hindsight and detachment from the issue in order so that way I can speak about it generally in the way that I do. But I think that sometimes people get so wrapped up in the moment that they do it immediately while it's still fresh. Not only is that can of worms still open, but now you're allowing the opinions of the world to convolute the situation to the point where it's going to get so confusing. Not only are you going to crash out, but you're almost letting the world in on your spiral and your crash out. With just the way that the internet is set up and the way that people kind of love to feel like a fly on the wall and people watch, it's the perfect storm because we totally fuel this exploitation of the victimization and the crash out and the spiral. We start to not even view these people like people. We view them like characters, or we view them as that bad situation that happened to them or is happening to them. And so we are never able to look at the situation and get any perspective or develop a healthy coping mechanism or learn anything from it. And it just becomes a cycle or almost even like a trend that repeats itself. And I think on like an even darker level, something that's very relevant on the internet and honestly might even be a little bit of a hot take, but I just want to like preface that I have sympathy for it, and I've even kind of thought about it myself. OnlyFans. In society for generations, we have dealt with so many issues around objectification and sexualization. So many people experience these really painful things around intimacy from a really young age. And after you go through it enough times, you kind of just start to accept that it's a part of life. And then you almost start to accept, like, if it's gonna happen to me, I might as well make money off of it. Why shouldn't it pay my bills? Why shouldn't it be this thing that empowers my life and allows me to live luxuriously and kind of fuels the dragon? It also shows young people that it's okay. You know, for a teenager who may have just experienced that for the first time and feels alone and has guilt and shame and goes to the internet to kind of have a veil of protection behind it, they're gonna see that and think that that's a way to heal from it. Detachment and healing is a really slippery slope. I think it's a gray area. I've never really gone fully down that path of OnlyFans, so I can't really speak on the after effects of it or anything like that. And so that's kind of where I can leave this topic, but especially with the amount of kids that we have who are kind of forced to spend so much time on their iPads because both parents have to work full-time jobs and can't afford childcare, and I'm not going to get too deep into that in this video. I think it's our duty when we go on the internet to provide these kids with a little bit more of healthy information and coping mechanisms to deal with these really real-world issues. In order for me to feel good about creating this depth on my channel, I want to kind of preface that I will never get lost in the negative victimization of the things that have happened to me. And in a way, I will always speak about things in a general way to protect my privacy, but also make sure that people can continue to relate to my content and apply it to their own lives. But I also want to make sure that you can kind of understand that being privileged and sheltered comes in all different shapes and sizes, you know, and paying attention to the privilege that you have through these negative experiences can be a really powerful way to remind you that things could be worse. That perspective of like things could be worse is another gray area and slippery slope. I know for me personally, as somebody who is known for having just drama and chaos constantly, I'll have friends come to me and vent to me and even say to me like, you know, sometimes I just think about what you have going on in your world and I realize that things aren't that bad. And while I'm so glad to like be able to help people feel better, and I'm glad to be able to almost like use the experiences that I've had to like help give therapy to my friends and family, it's extremely isolating to hear that. You go to a person who you know is a little down bad and you like use their bad experiences to put them down farther and bring yourself up. It hurts a little bit. You know, I don't know if I would ever like tell people that directly to their face, but I think, because it's unintentional, but I think, you know, if that's a coping mechanism that you have, you know, tread carefully. While I do think it's important to stay attentive to the silver linings, you don't want to like use the people that you care about in your life as silver linings, because it's going to put them down and make them feel really alone. And I know for me personally, sometimes it makes it so I don't want to share these experiences because I don't want them to be so defining, and I have no control over how people perceive these experiences. The only thing I have control over is the way that I choose to speak about them. Sometimes I just fear that people also use like the damaging things that have happened in their lives to just place themselves above people in general. Act like it's a badge of honor. Unfortunately, we all go through negative experiences, and to compare them to one another is just unfair because pain is pain. Everyone's life experiences happens at different points. For some people, they might think that I'm very well experienced for a 24-year-old, but for all they know, I could turn 30 and things might get real freaking boring. And for some people, the natural course of their life, things don't even start happening until their 30s, 40s, 50s. To compare pain is just not fair, because you could look at a child who just stubbed their toe for the first time, and you know, you'd feel a little bit bad for him. You know that sucks. And then you could look at an adult whose marriage is failing and might lose their house and just got laid off. And if you were to compare those, one is going to feel so much heavier than the other. But those two experiences are both the most painful things that those two people have experienced. And so it's really important to have empathy and understanding for each other rather than using your trauma as a way to put your nose up to everyone and act like you're better than everyone else because the world has been hurtful to you. Like, dude, it sucks for everyone. Join the party. Allow it to be something that connects us and allows us to realize that not everything is so horrible, as opposed to making it so you're this lone wolf, too cool for school, above it all. Because, I mean, gosh, that's like not gonna, I feel like that's almost a little traumatizing. Like, who hurt you? Do you need a hug? I just want to thank you guys so much for opening my perspective. You know, I approached this channel thinking that it was going to be something that gave me structure and held me accountable and allowed me to get these cliches and platitudes out of my head. And I thought a lot of it was, you know, going to be me trying to help other people. You guys have opened my eyes and helped me grow and see myself in ways that I've never expected. And to know that this is just the beginning of something really beautiful is incredibly exciting. And so keep it up. I am just so excited to be friends with you all. So pumped for the future. Have so much fun perusing on the internet. Don't talk to me about my hairy armpits, okay? I don't want to hear it. Stay safe out there. Mwah. Goodbye.